Good morning, friends. Today is July 23rd, 2023, and I'm going to continue. This is video number 8. I may have missed the numbers. As you can see, past that private flight where the cabin or the bridge or the cockpit was blue, uh, uh, and elongated heads. Now, from here on, we're going to see red cabin manned by devils. Maybe Shiites, maybe Alawites, maybe Masonics, maybe something, I don't know. But it's controlled by blue if you notice. And so it goes. From here on, that's all you'll see. The services are provided by those devils, but they never go outside of the services in space and compartments and so on. Again, we're now in the service area. The compartments of this edifice of Zion, right, has that red compartment that those people in red, or those creatures in red, never really exit from it. This is very important. So here you can count, there's like 4, 5, 3, right? And there's that one facing the 3. So the cameraman facing the 3 is probably uh, the one, the number 13, which you usually find on the dollar or whatever it is. So that's the 12 plus the 1 somewhere in it. I don't know what it means really, except like maybe the 12 tribes, and then there is the blah, 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 whatever it is. But the room is blue, as you can see. There's the American flag, and there's, I think, what appears to be the flag of NATO. But I'm not sure. However, don't be deceived. This is back in time now, to the time of Prophet Muhammad, or perhaps, as I said, the hypothesis or the possibility in preparation for the appearance of that personality, historic personality in Islam, the Mahdi. This is similar to supposedly the return of Jesus in Christianity, or the Mashiach, or the Messiah of the Jews, right?
Excuse me, Dr. I'm through now. Thank you very much, then.
So I tried to see Halvorsen. Now, if this is like Scandinavian or it's Germanic, then the V is an F, right? So Halvorsen, I tried to understand what that is, right? Let me get it on the screen first, and then I'll explain what I thought it was. Yeah, so
I know you.
join with me. Well,
Okay, before we continue, before I explain this Halvorsen or whatever I thought it was, right? This here is a very crucial theme, uh, both for the movie itself or what is to be said in the movie, right? And then also for the commentary. There is something very important here. I'm gonna say to you. Uh, so please bear with me. Nobody ever explained to you that movie the way I do. And you were always confused about it, or what it denotes, or what it does, right? Uh, but now, of course, you're gonna have an explanation, and we'll move on, right?
I know you won't.
So force and Halvorsen, Hal is Hal, right? Or it could be La. So I read it backward. Halvorsen, I read it backward, and again, I am not 100% certain, but I think that's what it is. Nesr of La. Nesr of La. Nesr in Arabic, right, is eagle, right? Eagle. Now, in Arabic, Nesr eagle does not mean there are two different Nesrs, right? In Hebrew, later on, when they established modern Hebrew out of Arabic, they said Nishr, right? Nishr. In Arabic, Nisr means the bird, not the bird of prey, but like the one that eats dead animals, such as vultures, such as I think some certain eagles do eat dead animals as well. I heard that the bald eagle does eat, dead animals, but at the same time, I think it hunts fishes and hunts as well, right? So that's the Nesr or eagle of La. Nesr of La. I don't know. Maybe that's what it means. Nesr of La, or the eagle of Allah or God, right? So here we go.
I want to join with me in welcoming our distinguished friend and colleague from the National Council of Astronautics, Dr. Haywood Floyd. Now, Dr. Floyd has come up especially to Vegas to be with us today. And before the briefing, I know he would like to have a few words with him.
So Haywood Floyd here comes to a private, very private meeting in space, well, on Earth, but where no humans can reach it, right? So it could be in Hilton, it could be, I don't know, in some market somewhere, or I don't know, or, whatever it is. But I can't help but make a comment about Pink Floyd, because it seems like sometimes it is blue, but it seems like pink. So they were looking at it and they decided to call it Pink Floyd. Now pay attention to what he's going to say. Very crucial. This actually is the skeleton key of the movie. What happens here now is the skeleton key of the movie.
Nice to be back again. Well, first of all, I bring a personal message from Dr. Howell, who asked me to convey his deepest appreciation to all of you for the many sacrifices you have to make.
Many sacrifices you have to make. What sacrifices are these, right? I mean, looking at them, they're sitting in a very nice room, hidden from view, hidden in plain sight, and the camera a little bit before that. Remember, the camera denotes that you're being watched, you're being monitored, and also here it means all eyes on you, right? Haywood Floyd, because he was taken, he took footage, or he taped the entire conference room, right? That guy with the checkered suit, which really eluded me. I don't know why his suit was checkered. It sounds like the ground floor of what I saw on some outlets to be Masonic timber and stuff like that, right? But they're monitored for what they say. And now the sacrifices. What sacrifices are these?
And of course, his congratulations on the discovery.
Congratulations on your discovery.
Very well proved.
I want you to pay attention. I'm going to write it down actually. It may well prove to be the most significant in the history of science. To be the most significant discovery in the history of science. This is very crucial for this movie, folks. This is very crucial. This is what he just said now, and what he will say later, a little bit later, and later as well, is the skeleton key for this movie.
One of the most significant in the history of science. Now, there have been some conflicting views held.
Conflicting views about what?
Regarding the need for complete security in this matter.
Need for complete security. Okay, well, top security clearance or what else? No, that's not what he means. But point number one is the most significant discovery in history of science. Science. Now, security.
More specifically, your opposition to the cover story.
Aha! So for this most significant discovery in the history of science, there needs to be security and what? A cover story. A cover story.
Created to give the impression there's an epidemic in place.
Created to give the impression there's an epidemic in place. Here's what I'm gonna, okay, let me finish this scene and then I'll tell you what I mean by that.
I understand that beyond it being a matter of principle,
Principle. So conflicting views, right? Because people are principled, you know, those scientists, supposedly humans, they're principled, right? And they find it a little bit hard to accept that there's a cover story that says there's an epidemic in place to the most significant history in the history of science.
many of you are troubled by the concern and anxiety this story of an epidemic might.
Yeah, this is like something very virtuous and revolutionary, such as science, right? And then now you say it's an epidemic.
Friends on Earth.
On Earth, that's outside, right?
Completely sympathize with your negative views.
Yeah, I mean, what he's saying sympathize with your negative views.
I found this cover story personally embarrassing myself.
Embarrassing, that's all there is to it for him, right?
However, I accept it.
However, I accept the need for absolute secrecy in this.
Absolute secrecy in this.
It's really those statements that he made, starting with, it may prove to be the most significant discovery in the history of science, right? Then secrecy, then cover story and epidemic, and then now he feels awkward and principles and conscientious. People don't like what's going on because usually you give credit where credit is due, unless you want to steal the idea itself and destroy who invented it, right? And now, absolute secrecy in this, right? So here where he's driving at is very simple. This is not democracy, folks. You speak, this what he's doing now here in this very short speech is total threat, is like a horror of a threat. You fess up, you talk, or else, you know?
I hope you will too. Now, I'm sure you're all aware of the extremely grave potential for
Grave potential, extremely grave potential, right? Of cultural shock and social disorientation. Why? Because if somebody now, right, proves to you that they have a new math or new science, right, this is going to put people, especially those people in science, in upheaval, right? It's going to completely withdraw their minds and attention because there's something new in humanity, right? Now, he disguises that with cultural shock and disorientation. Why? Because it's something new, something revolutionary, right? I don't know who said about an idea, whether it's Schopenhauer or somebody, that first it is ridiculed, second it's fought, third it's accepted, and stuff like that, right? But Dr. Haywood is trying to cover up this most significant discovery in the history of science with a cover story, an epidemic, and veiled threat.
Shock and social disorientation contained in this present situation. If the facts were prematurely and suddenly made public without adequate preparation and conditioning.
Without adequate preparations and conditioning, right? So science, and so on and so forth. What conditioning and preparations does he want, right? Now he's making himself owner of this new, most significant discovery in the history of science, or knowledge, or thinking, or revolution of man, right? What conditioning is he trying to do? It's not his business in the first place, right? Unless you're trying to cover up what's good with what's bad, simply out of greed and voracious appetite. And of course, loath and envy and covetousness.
Anyway, this is the view of the council. The purpose of my visit here is to gather additional facts and opinions.
Yeah, that's a threat, folks. This meeting here, what he said now, Haywood Floyd here in this very small and short and bitter speech is really a threat, veiled threat.
On the situation. And to prepare a report for council.
Report. There are those who are watching.
When and how the news should eventually be announced.
When and how.
And if you would like to give me your views and opinions in private, if you like.
In private. Why? Because if you go in private and express your opposition to this cover story, that's falsehood, right? As an epidemic, epidemic, to this most significant discovery in the history of science, they know who you are, right?
I'd be only too happy to include them in my report.
Yeah, he'll report you.
Well, I think that's about it. Any questions?
No, it didn't take long. Look, everybody is in silence, total silence.
Floyd, have you any idea how much longer this cover story will have to be maintained?
How long this cover story will have to be maintained? Why is this question? Because they want to convey the point to you is that this will always be the case.
I don't know, Bill. I suppose it'll be maintained as long as deemed necessary.
As long as deemed necessary by the council, which is really, it's always the case.
And of course, there must be adequate time for a full study to be made of the situation.
Full study to be made.
To be good for making a public announcement.
Now he's dressing up the feeling of position of that historic discovery of science or of knowledge or anything else. Now they're circling around it to own it, right? And then ditch or put to sleep those who are behind this discovery. Not them, but the discovery itself, right? I'll give you a clue to what the epidemic means. In the modern day, it means terrorism, which is Sunni Islam.
Oh yes, as some of you already know, the council has requested that formal security oaths be obtained in writing from everyone who has any knowledge of this event.
Aha. Formal. So if you ever make it known, they have you in writing.
Are there any more questions? Well, I'm sure we all want to cooperate with Dr. Floyd as fully as possible.
Aha. Now the response comes. You folks sitting down there, you better stand in line. This is similar to Stalin, you know, when Stalin stands in, or Lenin, or Stalin, or Hitler, or Assad, or Ayatollah, or Castro, or whoever it is, right? When they stand there and Trump to be, right? if yeah, when they say what they say, right? The orders come. Uh, People pretend to be happy about it, and obedience is given, right? There's no vote, right, about it, or protest, or if and buts on what, and that's it.
As there seems to be no more questions, I think we ought to get on with the briefing.
We'll get on with the briefing, and the briefing now is secret. I will explain that later. Now, let me give you a background of this. What he's talking about is the revolution that brought about by the appearance of Islam and Muhammad and the golden age of humanity. They tell you Greek philosophy, blah, blah, such. There was nothing there, folks. Uh, I can assure you these are facts. Uh, India, Africa, Europe, blah, blah. There's nothing there, folks. Prior to Prophet Muhammad, humanity was like those humans who were storming the cornfields in the movie Planet of the Apes. Now you may protest and say, no, wait a minute, there was Rome, there was Constantinople, and there was Mesopotamia, blah, blah. Much of that is a lie, folks, especially about the Mesopotamia and Zoroaster and so on and so forth. Yeah, there was Constantinople, big city, right? Because people just started flocking together. There was nothing else. There was no Greek philosophy in it. We know. Nobody found anything in it. There was no science, no schools. Yeah, they knew how to write, right? There was a script which was taken originally from ancient Arabic, right? And the Arabs made their way to Rome, and many Roman emperors were actually Arabs, right? But there was no science there. There was no thinking. There was no science. There was no advanced civilization such as modern civil state. Muhammad is credited with creating the modern civil state. What does that mean? That means it's not an emperor or a king who owns everybody and everything, right? And then you're on your own. So there's no. He brought things like justice, holds, prosecution, judges, inheritance, rights of others, freedom of thinking, and science. And science became mandatory. Islam makes knowledge and science mandatory on every Muslim, right? So now we have like all these people who were like roaming the earth, right? I mean, they gathered together, they had some clothes, and they ate, and there was no rule about their sexuality or anything of the sort. Suddenly it appears this big giant spaceship, right? Starting, like the pilot is Muhammad, right? It lands and gets everybody in it and moves forward, right? For Haywood Floyd, for the Kubricks who were living on usury and keeping people in the dark and lighting up wars and so on, that was unacceptable. They couldn't help it. They couldn't tear it down. They couldn't fight it. They caused a lot of damage, but now they have to own its products, is what Haywood Floyd is trying to do. Not just that, he's going to call it epidemic. He's going to call it evil. He's going to call it terrorism. He's going to call it satanic. He's going to call it blah, blah. How about Zoroaster? Like I said, Kubrick takes a lot from that book in his movies, that thus speaks Zarathustra, right? What was Zoroastrianism, right? There was nothing really. We know our history. The oldest authentic manuscripts and books and history and so on is that of Islam. Anything else, including Judaism, including Christianity, including everything else, is really 8th and 9th century, like 2-3 centuries after Islam. Anything, including what is supposedly termed as Greek philosophy or science or whatever it is. It's all in there. It's all in the Middle East, especially around Baghdad. Baghdad and its surrounding, that metropolis, was the center of learning, of science, of math, of computing. Oh yeah, computing. I can make that point to you, right? Not just the astrolabes, other things, right? The wall clocks that really followed also the timing of the sun and deviation and moon and solstices and so on. And like it even conformed to prayers. They used to hang it on their walls. You want to go to a doctor? You wait in line and so on. There was no such thing before. There were shamans, right? Similar to those in South America. So that was that. Damascus was the capital of engineering, and a large degree of Spain and France and northwestern Africa, and then India later, and then Persia. Persia was basically combined with Baghdad, and it's 3 centuries later they joined the scientific communities and so on. So that's what he made that civil state. When you go to court today anywhere in the world, you know, and there's lawyers and there's like defense and then prosecution, that's him. University, that's him. School, that's him, right? That's him. That most significant discovery in the history of science, period. That's what Floyd is talking about here. I made this overture now. Let's move on.
Thank you.
Now there's privacy here. Now he's going to give him instructions on what to do. This here is a little bit confusing. However, give me a second. However, it is a little bit, you know, as a CGI, computer effect and so on. Oh, I give him credit. You know, he's, oh, I have an IBM pen. I work on IBM equipment too. So it's still, we're still in the blue realm, right? Now, Rabbi Kubrick here is making assumptions about their situations and the scope of their abilities and dominance in the world and so on. He portrays himself and his world as existing and substantial and so on. That's not true, folks. Their existence at the time of Muhammad was in pockets, right? In Medina and in Persia and somewhat in Rome, yes. Egypt, not even, right? And then anything outside of that, they didn't exist, right? And when their, you know, their practices was always no different from what's happening today, financial usury and you know, things of the sort, right? You know, they coerce people to borrow from them and like hedge funds and so on. But here, you know, the music is kind of haunting. I forgot what it is, either whether it is like the Quran or call for prayer, you know, beautiful voice or something of the sort. This here you have to slow down or speed up. I don't know. Take for example, in the movie Polar Express, when that reindeer starts like squealing at the conductor and so on, this is not haphazard or perchance. If you slow it down, right? If you slow it down or speed it up or something of the sort, you will get some words, right? Some sentences. But I like this scene. I mean, here it's like, notice the drivers are also red while everything else is blue. And notice there's like 8, 6, and so on. It's impressive, you know, how that ship is floating and then you see people moving inside the windows, right? And again, you know, you can count here, you know, like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, blah, blah, 2, I don't know. I mean, Kubrick is held keen on showing details by numbers and gestures and 3 letters TLA or 3 letters acronym. Now the benefits of this also, it kind of attracts you, right? This plays that music and so on, and it keeps you interested and curious about the movie. So this here is an extraneous or extra stimulant. This here is a stimulant only. Here I see the landscape to be like shifting into green. I see some green here, right? Beginning to look green. Reds, those reds with the horns. But they never go back where the blues are. Okay, I told you before, spacesuits are disguises, right? And here, this is the second part, which will tell you about or indicate to you. It's another skeleton key of the movie as well. This chat here, just notice.
Oh, anybody hungry? What we got? You name it.
Well, we got you name it, right? They got all kind of money coming in by way of Trump and Obama and Bush and Clinton and Joby. That's Joe Biden, right? You know, they give him like sign executive orders in the Congress code. They call it derivatives, stimulus, genius IPOs. You know, you have a small shop with like a table and a couple of chairs, and then you declare a business, right? And you go IPO. The government pays you, right? And then you close afterwards and move on. And so that's what this is. Stimulus, raise debt limits. You know, you name it.
What's that? Chicken? Something like that.
Chicken, something like that. It tastes the same anyway. They're talking about other humans. So chicken, I don't know. Ham means Christians usually, or Europeans probably, or anybody else. Chicken, I don't know. Who are chickens?
They're pretty good. They're getting better at it all the time.
They're getting better all the time. They're not talking about cooks here. They're talking about, you know, who. Both the. They're talking about the suppliers, and these are the Congress and the presidents, and you know, here and there, they supply them with, you know, chickens and hams.
Now that was an excellent speech you gave us, Edwin.
Excellent speech. Oh, really? As far as I'm concerned, this was like pretty veiled, clear threat.
Was. I'm sure it beefed up morale a hell of a lot.
Beefed up morale, meaningly, those people are no longer able. They're only going to obey, right? Scared means scared the hell out of them. That's what he's saying here. You know, like you scared the hell out of them. Beefed up morale a lot.
I want to say to both of you, I think we done a wonderful job.
Yeah, what kind of job is that? They've done a wonderful job, both of these guys.
The way you handle this thing. Wow.
The way you handled this thing.
Our job to do this thing the way you want it done.
The way you want it done. And they're only too happy to oblige, right? So here, you know, you're looking at Lenin, Stalin, Hitler, Ayatollah, Castro, Trump, Obama. Yeah, you know, Hirasi, all. You're looking at Mao Zedong as well, and Xi Jinping, right? And General Sisi and Assad, and Ataturk as well. I can go on and on.
You seen these yet? More than half of them. These have started the whole thing.
That started the whole thing. Now they're talking about Muhammad, or again possibly the Mahdi. Supposedly they're awaiting the appearance of that.
When we first found it, we thought it might be an outcrop of magnetic rock. But all the geological evidence was against it.
What he's saying is magnetic rock, you know, just your normal, noticeable, active human being, you know, leader, preacher, you know, smart person. That's what they're saying here.
Not even a big nickel iron meteorite can produce a famous thing.
Now they're talking Muhammad, right? That not even so and so can produce a field this intense. You just need to read his life biography and what he's done. Fox, the framework he generated and the leadership he generated, he was able to conduct, and the state he was able to create that brought this new world about. 100 millions of books, folks. Not one is equal to the other. He's the founder of the new world that they're calling God now.
Look, we thought it might be the upper part of some buried structure,
So they thought it was the upper part of some buried structure, meaningly they suspected a organization, underground organization, not just this one man, right? That he was representing. He was the like the tip of the iceberg, if you will. Some men, in this world, show up and they start preaching and so on. Turns out they have like a whole crew behind them. It's true for the Floyds and the Kubricks, not for Muhammad.
It's out on all sides, but unfortunately we didn't find anything else.
So they investigated, and they found nothing else, right? That's him on his own. But can it be?
Or the evidence seems pretty conclusive, but it hasn't been covered up by natural erosion.
Yeah, it hasn't. What he's saying is it hasn't been, nourished and nursed and protected, covered up by natural forces, right? So the forces that kept protection and nourishment and rearing of this particular individual is really not natural, is what he said.
Seems to have been deliberately buried.
Seems to have been deliberately buried. So they're talking Muhammad, probably his companions as well, or his community, or that society in that part of Mecca, right? Which is Arabia, a desert. It's not easily accessible. Even though there was an attempt by Rome to invade it and they got as far, I think, even south of Mecca, but making their way to Yemen, but it faltered due to many reasons. You can certainly search it if you want to.
Deliberately buried. Well, how about a little coffee? I'm great, man.
Okay, so that's whom he's talking about. How about a little coffee? Whom he's talking about? The Kafis, us, the Arabs. Now he's telling you, he's not just calling it epidemic, but he hates it, right? He called it the damn thing is. I don't suppose you have any idea what the damn thing is. Human, non-human, or whatever it is. Right now, envy and jealousy and covetousness is burning in the heart of the Floyds, right? During that time, of course, they see something that is burgeoning like a giant spaceship the size of the Earth, just like taking off. What did he say? I wish the hell we did. So damn thing, hell, coffee, huh? You get it, right? That's how they feel about him. They still do, and that is only intensifying.
Now, the only thing we're sure of is that it was buried 4 million years ago.
So it was buried 4 million years ago. This I missed completely. 4 million years ago? Is that when they suppose... I think the number itself is a metaphor, a bogus number. Meaningly, they think that it was this La or Hal or Allah, right? Being there for 4 million years. How do you know? I don't know. But I'm going to scratch my back on it. I think that's whom they mean. That this being, the La or Hal or Allah, has been there for 4 million years. Or maybe millions of years. Because we really don't know. Right?
Well, I must say, you guys are certainly come up with something.
Those people in there found something. Remember, Haywood Floyd came to them. They were already on Clavius or near Clavius, right? Which means the Kubricks of Arabia during the time of Muhammad.
It's outside.
Watch out, it's hot. He just gave them a warning, last warning. Watch out, it's hot. Meaning that you can't just touch it or try to tear it down or something of the sort. Now we're back to that haunting music. Excuse my low budget studio here. That's my TV and that's my Blu-ray player, and these my lights here, as you can see, and they reflect. But you can watch your own TV while watching this as well. Yeah, this here sounds like either reading the Quran or the call for prayer there are some real beautiful call for prayers that I heard before. This is a site supposedly surrounded all in blue. Not true. You know, they tell you that they were there with big presence and everything works in their own framework and under their umbrella and so on. No, folks. Even in this movie, he tells some truth, but he dispenses a lot of hatred and plenty of lies as well. But some of it is truth. Similar to this, it may prove to be the most significant discovery in the history of science. Science began with Prophet Muhammad. That's it, folks. All the science that you know now. Some of the subjects like calculus and whatnot that you read today and study in school, it's just plain translation from those Arabs. So as you can see, 1-3 and 1-2 on his back on that like oxygen thing. It's all metaphors, folks. It's, you know, the numbers, the buttons, everything they say here. So there's 7 and 7 and 7. 7 by 4, right? 28. I don't know what that means, and then you can count. Yeah, those numbers must mean something, I don't know. Could they be GPS? I don't know. GPS coordinates. All right. Now we find the black monoliths, right? Second time. First we missed it. Now we're finding it again. Could Kubrick be combining the old time, 1500 years ago, with what is possible to happen now, or happen, and they discovered something that we don't know about? I don't know. But here there's a telltale, of course. I counted things, right? You know, the mountains, and now in the blue, that is the world of Zion, right? So here, if you look at those lights, there's 12, 12, 12, right? And that's 36, right? And there are, of course, there's that monolith. I counted these lights here. They turned out to be Theri. And Theri is really Zoroaster. When he left his home and the lake of his home, he was 30 years old, right? Oh, he's taken so much out of that book. Thus spake Zarathustra. He takes for his movies like a lot of movies and a lot of literature and novels and so on are taken from that book, as a matter of fact. And that book is totally 100% inspired by the Talmud and its understanding of life and other humans and so on. And again, now you see the monolith and the satanic music is playing. One, two. Two, 1, 2, 2, 1. the position of their walking, you will see it's like 1, 2, 2, 1, 12, 21. I don't know what that is. Could be a date, 12, 21, maybe. And here it seems like 51. Their total of 6, 51, right? Standing with the number 51, 4, 3, 2, 1. Now this is a very revealing. What they're saying is this Muhammad, right, appeared here in Arabia with the black monolith, right? And then these guys disguised as Jews, maybe they're demons, like donning the disguise, the what is it? In the old days, the Arabs invented something called the hat of invisibility. Later on, it's called cloak of invisibility. Like, have you seen Harry Potter? HAIRYPLOTTER. That movie when he wears the cloak of invisibility. Maybe they're devils. You know, I'm saying Kubricks are rabbis. Maybe they're not. I don't know. Maybe they're the same, right? But here they noticed, right? He attracted their attention in that uh, world of blue and what is disguised in it. So now they're looking at. Now you better be concerned when 6 people from God knows when or where they come from stand up like this. You better brace for the fight of your life. Is what this picture is revealing. You know, like they're standing there, bearing down on that thing that is really dark underground. They have him in an enclosure, surrounded. And they stand there intently for a little while. So you, audience or spectator or who's watching this movie, can really bear it in your psyche that this is what's happening. You know, like it leaves you with this haunting scene. For supposedly, if you believe that, for Muhammad downstairs, that black monolith uh, is it. That's it. It's over. They have him cornered, and now they're descending down on him, and they're watching him with those 12, 12, 12 floodlights. Not just that, they have all kind of instruments and monitoring instruments and inspection. And oh boy, this monolith is in for, that's it. Yeah, he's in for, this is it, dying. Twelve. Now this is the opposite lights as I think necessary by the scene. Kubrick switches those 3 other floodlights, group of floodlights, 12, 12, 12, and then he lights up the ones opposite now. So as you can see, he lights up those. I don't know, but it doesn't seem to me like those floodlights, original floodlights, are like we just like reverse them or rotated them. The sound of music, that satanic music is supposedly alert or activity, spiritual activity or godly activity around the enclosure in here, because now these guys are coming in, and the other side, or Allah or La or Hal, now is like activating as well. So this will be an encounter here. So in a way, we can say either Muhammad is in trouble, right, or they're walking into a trap. All right. Do you remember what I told you earlier? When Prophet Muhammad around the enclosure, he touched that, he made that gesture and touched the black monolith while he was kissing also the black stone in the black monolith or in the cubic house in Mecca. He's doing the same thing. I think what he's doing here is that these two, Haywood Floyd, now they are jealous. So they went to introduce themselves to La as better choice than that monkey, right? So now they've come to also nourish from that knowledge and science and so on and so forth. Although it has been 2,000 years before Muhammad, or even longer than that, maybe 3, maybe 4, I don't know. And they didn't do much about no black monolith or anything else really. So finally, La decided to transfer to the other side of the family. And they didn't like that. And when he did, now they've come to own it, right? You know, he put his hand, like getting inspired by it supposedly, right? So I remember that at the start of the movie when those monkeys or Muhammad and his companions were jumping around the black monolith and he kissed the black stone and he put his hand like that. There you go. Now what they're saying is, hey, we're doing you a favor, you better respond, right? We've come to you and we need to ditch that Muhammad and his monkeys out, and you know now we're doing you a favor, you better respond, right? That's how they talk to God or Allah or Allah, right? So now we're talking 4-2, right? Or 4-3-3. So there's 3 here and 3 here. 3-1-3. Oh no, 24. I'm sorry. I think there was 2 and 4. 2-1-4. Or 2-4-1. Now this is a victory lap. You know, we own you, La, oh God. You better respond or, you know, like cough up the goods or else. Now the inspiration they thought they got, turns out their brains is not capable of. It's not capable of that advanced, sophisticated teachings or most significant discovery in the history of science. They're not pioneers, folks. I looked from then until now. There's not much really there. Now, so the teachings that is so sophisticated, they just fail to understand it, and that's what they mean by that. Is that this buzz that basically blinded them and kind of disabled their brains and. Okay, sorry. So as you can see, this is the god with the crescent moon, right? That's supposedly Sauron or that thing above Mecca now, which is really put there by whatever, or whatever. And then there's the other god, the one that has like a moon disk or sun disk, but without the crescent moon. So this God has intervened now and like basically, you know, buzzed them out of there. That's the one who gives apparitions, right? That's the very same thing as the leopard. That's the very same thing as, you know, La or Hal. Okay, I'm gonna stop here. Jupiter mission 18 months later. So this is very close to 1 hour now, and. Okay, so I may come and make like an addendum to this, but I think this is very well clear. I gave you a piece of history. There's no such thing as Greek science or whatever it is before Islam, uh, or anywhere else really. Basically, when Muhammad appeared, it was like a gigantic spaceship the size of the Earth, just basically picked us up and moved us forward. Some of us didn't like that, you know. The Kubricks just instead of walking with it or being congruent and joining, no, they decided to tear it down and destroy it. You will see, they will show you that here later. I will show you. Have a nice day, my friends, and thanks for watching. Watch to the end. You will believe I'm not done yet, and the very important parts are yet to come.